So this isn't going to be just another recap of Stranger Things season 5. By now, I'm sure all of you have seen at least 4 breakdowns, 10 Easter egg videos, at least one person saying that Steve is the mind flayer. And yes, I did see that. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to basically take everything that we've seen from episode 1 to 4 of season 5, the crawl, the Molly Wheeler of it, the Mr. Whatsit, Will the Wise. I'm going to take everything and we are going to turn this into basically a Q&A of Stranger Things season 5, and it is going to be my theories of what I believe is going to happen, and I'm going to take all the burning questions that I've seen online, and I'm going to try to answer them, and we're going to try to come to some of the connections and conclusions, and we're probably going to take a few wild swings in this as well, and we're going to predict what is coming next. So for some quick context, Volume 1 basically left us with Hawkins under occupation by the military, Holly Wheeler is missing, Vecna's reshaping everything, Will finally stepping into his powers, and his powers, I would say, caught. I did not expect him to have powers. That kind of caught me off guard, but it is a neat little twist that they threw in there. And 11 is crossing paths again with a yet familiar psychic person that was in the lab with her when they were being experimented on. Instead of rewalking every plot beat that was built around the first 4 episodes, I'm going to run through the biggest questions Volume 1 raises and give you current answers and theories. This is going to be basically our Stranger Things Season 5 Q&A, aka Theory Talk, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to answer all of the questions that we were yelling at our screens. So before we start, drop your biggest unanswered question down in the comments and I will make sure to answer those as well, because I would love to see what you guys think, what your questions are and what your theories are. And let's run all through all of this together, because the first 4 episodes left us with a lot to dissect and a lot to digest. If that's how the mid-season finale is going to start, then I can't imagine how the finale, the next 3 episodes and the finale is going to finish. We're in for a lot and it's going to be big and I'm excited. We're going to get a lot. It's going to be big and I honestly just cannot wait to get to it. Christmas can't get here fast enough, quite honestly. So question 1, what is Will actually becoming in season 5? So to answer that, I would say basically the end of episode 4, the end of episode 4 doesn't tell us everything, but it gives us a lot of insight into what he may be becoming. But my theory is I believe Will is becoming a version of 11. I think he's going to be another kid with powers, and I think Molly Wheeler and the other kids that were taken probably possess some type of powers. Because, I mean, Vecna did tell us that he picked and he chose these kids because they were weak in mind and all that good stuff like that. So that doesn't mean they don't have powers, though. 11 may have been weak at mind at one point in time, and, she developed powers, and maybe some of the other kids that were experimented on may have, they obviously had powers as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been experimented on them. And I have a theory on how everybody got their powers and how that ties into the Vecna as well, but we'll talk about that later. But the Will of it, Will obviously has become the D&D character. Well, his version of the D&D character, Will the Wise. And that came through in the episode Sorcerer. And Will is basically, in my opinion, similar to 11, but they all have different powers, like number 8, Callie, who we obviously meet in this season. Well, meet again in this season. She can cause projections or whatever that aren't there. 11 can control things with her telekinesis powers. Not telekinesis power, with her telekinetic powers. Like she's basically brute force. And Will seems to have more of a psychic connection to everything. But obviously his is proximity based because he can only control it when he's close to it. And I do believe he can control it because he obviously showed us that he can control some things. And I obviously think in the next 4 episodes that we're going to see more of him controlling things. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if what if Will becomes the bad guy, and what if Will is the big bad? What if Vecna is the little bad? He turns Will into the big bad. Will is obviously recognizing that he has these powers. We saw the clip in the trailer that we haven't seen yet of him screaming run. So what is he telling them to run from? Because we obviously don't see it. He's kind of just looking up in the air screaming run. But what is he telling them to run from? And he can control things now. So is he bringing something to them accidentally? Like, Will could literally become the bad guy in the end. Will could literally become the bad guy by the end of the series. I think Will could easily become the bad guy by the end of the series. And maybe he always was, and we just didn't know because we don't always realize who's in control. But I'll ask you all, with Will having his powers now, do you think that makes him more vulnerable? Do you think that makes him stronger? What do you think that makes him? I gave you guys my opinion already, but what do you guys think that makes Will? The next question we have is, what does 11 and Hopper finding number 8, aka Callie, mean for the rest of the season? So in my opinion, I think this is one way to kind of tie everything back together, because their Duffer brothers, who I believe are doing a great job with this show, are not leaving anything undone. They are tying up every loose end that they left out there. So they clearly researched all their prior seasons and said, you know what, let's tie up everything. That way there are no questions. So I believe they brought number 8 back specifically because of her powers, and she could project hallucinations or whatnot. And they're probably going to be some type of duo tag team power up between her and 11. They're probably going to try to combine their powers in some type of way. And I'll go ahead and mention it now. I believe that Vecna, aka Henry, and whatever else he's called, has everybody's powers, all of the powers that Will has. I mean, he could obviously control the demi-dogs or whatnot. We've seen him use his psychic powers, just like 11. I'm sure he can project hallucinations like number 8 can, because it all, like they told us in the show, everything came from Vecna's blood. So if everything came from Vecna's blood and all these kids have different powers, and Will obviously got his powers for when Vecna face fucked him, for better words. But, when he was shooting stuff in his mouth. But everybody gets their powers from Vecna. So that aside for a second, I just believe that 8 and 11 are probably going to combine their powers. And I do believe that one of two things, if not both, are going to happen. Like I said, they're going to join their powers and have some type of force power multiplier. And I believe that 8 is probably going to be some type of sacrifice. I'm sure she's going to die. And I'm sure a lot of other characters are going to die, and probably some of the important ones that we care about. But for now, we'll just talk about 8. I do believe 8 is probably going to die, because in stories like this, in general, people with powers that are saving things, usually the world, and this isn't like a DC or Marvel story, they usually die. So Callie, aka 8, is probably going to die by the end of the series. Sacrifice, or just Vecna may just take her out, and we'll see. But one of the two, if not both, are going to happen. But what do you guys think 8's main role is? Power boost, tragic sacrifice, both, neither? Let me know what you think. So my next question is, and this is an important one, why did Vecna target Holly Wheeler? So my theory is why Vecna targeted Holly is quick and simple. Holly is the new Will. Weak child, weak at mind. Obviously, all of these kids look older, so she doesn't look like the age that she's probably, should be portraying. But she should be much younger than the age that she actually is. But with all that being said, Holly is more than likely the new Will. She's one of the 12 kids, clearly, that Vecna needs to power up, whatever he's trying to power up at the end of the season. So Holly seems, from the trailer and some of the things that she had like conversations with her brother about, I believe she's going to develop powers, and I think all of the kids are going to develop powers in some form. Probably the original powers of all of the kids that Vecna killed, more than likely. They'll probably develop all of those powers, because they'll probably be the new 12. Because there's only 11 and 8 that are alive, and so there'll probably be a new 12. Because I'm not sure we don't know if Vecna even knows 8 is alive. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. She is in the Upside Down, so he probably does. But he's going to use all of the kids. They'll probably get powers similar to whatever the kids that have been experimented on had. And that's the importance that I feel like Holly has. I just think that she's a tool for Vecna to power up whatever he's trying to do at the end of the series. And she may thwart his plans in some way because we saw this door in the trailer. So, and I'm sure that probably came from her. And I've heard some other theories about maybe Holly created this door from the Wheel of Time, because the Wheel of Time is apparently important in this, just like D&D is important as not necessarily source material, but some of the lore from it kind of exists in this world. And with Holly meeting Max, and we know from listening to Max that Max is in Vecna's mind in some way, Holly is clearly in Vecna's mind too. So do you guys feel like Holly will make it out of this series, physically, mentally, both, neither? Or is Holly just going to be another one of the tragic losses? I do believe that I think I believe that all of the kids that are all of the kids that are going to be with Vecna in the end are probably not going to die, but let's just say half of them do, just for fun. Maybe none of them do, except maybe Will. I don't think Will makes it out of this series, but maybe Will sacrifices himself for the other kids. Maybe that's probably what happens. So next question, is Mr. Whatsit just Vecna and Henry, or is he something bigger? So we know Mr. Whatsit, aka Henry, is basically Vecna's kid-friendly version of Mrs. Whatsit from the Wheel of Time story. And he's luring all these kids to him through, being weak at mind. He's luring all these kids basically for his own selfish purpose, and that's to do whatever his big plan is in the last 4 episodes. So I believe that he is not necessarily something bigger. I think there's a bigger plan, but I don't think Henry, aka Mr. Whatsit, is anything bigger than Vecna. He's probably just a projection, like 8 has these powers. He's probably just a projection of Vecna's mind onto the kids that are stuck in his mind, because this has all been controlled by his mind. And I have a theory on that as well. But what's scarier, Vecna in his, war skeleton mode, or him as this kid-friendly, jolly guy with a smile on his face that we all know has bad intentions? So question 5, my next question. What is the real function of the Upside Down? We know from interviews and things that have been said online that what the Upside Down is going to be answered. So if you guys were paying attention, and I barely caught this detail, but I did catch it. We have the regular world, which is probably the right side up. We have the Upside Down, and we keep hearing this mention of Dimension X. So I believe that from what I've heard about the plays and from what we've seen, that Henry was sent to Dimension X. Long story short, I believe that the Upside Down, some type of way, is either in Henry, aka Vecna's mind, because he even sort of alluded to it that all these kids belong in his mind because they're weak and they belong not of this world, they belong in his mind. So maybe the Upside Down is his mind that he's projecting physically, or the Upside Down is some type of time portal. I do believe time is going to play a big role in this. We've had clocks, mentions of the number 12, not literally hundreds of times, but feels like hundreds of times, the number 12. Time has been mentioned a lot. We've had nods to Back to the Future in this series, especially the last 2 seasons. There have been nods to Back to the Future. So time is clearly going to play a role in this. And we all should remember that the Upside Down is stuck in 1983. When they go through the whatever it is to get to the Upside Down, they go into that version, the Upside Down version of 1983 that's frozen in time. It may be some type of portal. We saw in the classroom scene where the teacher was mentioning wormholes and, giving us clues to time being in this series. So it may have something to do with time more than being in Vecna's mind, or maybe his mind controls the time. I'm not sure, but I believe the Upside Down's real function is some function of time and space. And I believe that that's probably Vecna's reason for trying to capture these kids and use them for some purpose to either reset time, maybe just make the entire world that ugly version of 1983. I'm not sure, who knows? But I believe the upside down purpose is something to do with time, space, something like that. That's my theory. What do you guys' theory is on the upside down? I believe it has something to do with time, but let me know what you guys think the upside down is. So next is Will destined to sacrifice himself in the end game? This is an easy question to answer. It's really simple. Yes and no. Will is either going to sacrifice himself or he's going to realize that he's becoming something that he's not or doesn't want to be and sacrifice himself, or he's going to be killed because he's the new bad guy. And it's really just that simple. More than likely, Will is going to sacrifice himself because he has these new powers. He can control the demigorgons. We know that, so he can probably control the demidogs, and he could probably control more. Either the closer he is or the deeper he gets into the upside down. I don't know if he's going to get into the upside down. That doesn't really show us, but the closer he is in proximity to the portal to the upside down, he's obviously stronger and more connected to it through the hive mind. So is Will going to sacrifice himself? Probably. So next is, who is most at risk in the Christmas batch of episodes? Not the finale, just the Christmas batch. Like, you guys tell me one character that you think the Duffers are going to take out in the next 3 episodes. I do believe it'll at least be 1, if not 2, but it'll definitely be 1. But I think it could be more than 1 because there's probably going to be at least a few more that go in the finale. But I would put my prediction on Steve. And I know I mentioned Steve earlier as being a mind flayer, and I was just being funny, but I did see that online. But I think Steve is going to bite the dust in the next 3 episodes. I think Steve is going to make some type of honorable sacrifice. We don't see him much in the trailer for the upcoming last few episodes. So, I could be to throw us off and to make us go down these theories, but I think it's going to be Steve. I don't think it's going to be Nancy. I actually don't think Nancy's going to die at all because I keep hearing this rumor that they're going to do a spinoff with Nancy. So if anybody makes it out of the series, it's probably Nancy and probably Will, or maybe Will doesn't make it, and that's what takes us into the Nancy spinoff, supposedly. But my money would be on Steve not making it out of the next batch of episodes, the Christmas batch, just the next 3 episodes. So what role do you guys think Max will play for the rest of the season? Honestly, I'm not really sure. She doesn't seem very involved in this season physically, but she's clearly in Vecna's mind, so she has some importance. She's kind of laid some of the breadcrumbs to maybe how to get out of his mind with the music or whatnot, even though the music thing isn't working for Holly because she was playing music when she was in the house in Vecna's mind. So, well, I guess they're in the same place, but Max almost got out. What triggered the radio to go off in the hospital when Max was laying in the bed and she was getting ready to run out? Because we saw it click up and Lucas looked spooked. So something clicked it. Probably Vecna, because this is his mind. He probably saw it, or intuition or something like that. Who knows? I'm not sure actually. Like, she's in Vecna's mind. She's not there physically, but we see in some of the trailers that Lucas is going to be moving her around physically and hiding and stuff like that. She's obviously going to probably be attacked, or somebody's going to, well, the demi-dogs or demigorgons are going to try to attack her. So she obviously has some importance. Or maybe Vecna just wants to keep her in his head. Maybe he likes having her there. Who knows? But do you guys think Max is going to wake up at some point? She could be a pawn for Vecna. Maybe well, 11 brought her back to life, so maybe she's not a pawn, but she's in his mind, so maybe she's some type of pawn. But what do you guys think the importance of Max still being here and for the rest of the season is going to be? Because I really can't figure the max of it out. Even my wildest theories don't really make sense to why Max is still around and what she's really doing in his mind. Her body's in a hospital and she's in a coma, but she's not waking up, but she maybe can escape with the music. I don't know. The max of it all is a little twisty for me. So you guys let me know what you think about the whole max of it. So my second to last question is, are the adults truly assets now, or are they just going to become liabilities in the end? And Honestly, the adults have never really been assets except for in seasons maybe 3 and 4 because, the kids had to get to Russia. Well, not the kids, but even the adults went to Russia. So the adults are liabilities. Hopper's probably going to die. All of the adults are probably going to die except for maybe the Wheelers and maybe Karen. But all of the other adults are probably going to die. I don't really see the importance of keeping them around. I believe 11 dies as well, and we'll talk about that in my next question. Matt, who actually survives the series finale when it's all said and done? Who actually survives? I'm not sure if it's easier to talk about who survives or who doesn't survive, because it's definitely being kept close to the vest. Nobody's going to know this until it actually happens, and it's going to be shocking when it does. But who actually survives or doesn't survive? No, let's just talk through the characters. Will probably survives. I believe Nancy survives because I've only heard rumors that they're doing a Nancy spinoff. So I do think Nancy survives. Maybe you keep her brother alive, maybe for appearances or whatever the case down the road, because it's probably going to push this. Whatever the spinoff is probably going to catch them up to, or at least close to their actual ages. So I believe Will makes it. Maybe not unscathed, but I think Will makes it. I think Nancy makes it. I think their parents make it. Holly, I'm 50-50 on Holly Wheeler. Holly probably makes it through some sacrifice that Will makes in the end. Dustin, he's already kind of taken his ass whooping. So is he really going to catch another beatdown or die in this series? Maybe. But if Steve dies, I don't believe Dustin dies. I doubt they take both of them. And speaking of the Steve of it, do we think that... So if Steve dies, I doubt Dustin dies. But what about Robin? Maybe Robin dies. She's important, but not important. She's old enough but young enough. She doesn't have any powers. She could probably be a casualty. I could see Robin maybe dying. The core group of kids, Will probably goes. I think Will goes. Dustin probably lives. Lucas, I think, makes it. Lucas is like the only black guy in the show. So he's probably going to make it. Maybe not, because this is horror, technically. But Lucas probably makes it. And I know I keep saying Will as Nancy's sister. I mean Mike. I apologize. I know I've said Will a bunch of times, and I apologize for that. But Mike, I believe Mike makes it with Nancy and the Wheelers. I believe Will dies. His brother may even die. But Nancy and Will's brother may take their romance into the Nancy spinoff, whatever that may be. Our friend Murray, I don't think Murray dies because he's very, very funny. He's there for comedic relief anyways. And if we're going to go into a spinoff after this TV show, we're going to need to take some characters with us. And Murray may be important because he can supply things and he can obviously get things. And he may be important to whatever the spinoff is. So I do think Murray makes it. So, and I think I just knocked off a lot of people. I knocked off Joyce, Hopper, Will, Steve. I think a lot of these characters are going to kick the bucket in these last few episodes. But let me know what you guys think. That's basically all of my theories. I probably have a few more, and I'll answer those with whatever comments you guys have. I believe the next 4 episodes are going to be amazing. These 4 episodes were great. I wish they were longer, quite honestly, because I just enjoyed it so much. Yeah, Stranger Things is coming to an end, and this sucks, but I'm hoping that they really do continue with a spinoff and keeps us in this world and for years to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, and I hope that you did, I'm going to probably do this again rather than do a recap of everything. But I may do a recap as well of volume 2. But I'm definitely probably going to do this again since the Christmas batch and New Year's fall really close to each other. I'll probably do it right after the Christmas batch drops, even though it's Christmas Day at 8 o'clock in the morning. Merry Christmas to all of us. And I'm probably going to drop a video that same day, more than likely. Maybe I'll put my Santa hat on. But let me know what you guys think. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate everybody coming through. I really do. Thank you for staying to the end if you did. And keep coming back for more. And I will see you next time. And we have more coming. And thank you for tuning in. Bye.